I'm Chuck Seese. Welcome to the ESU Coaches Show. We are at Derailed on Crystal Street in East Stroudsburg. Our host, Rob O'Hara, is here with us tonight. Rob, thanks for having us here tonight.
Thanks for coming in. We appreciate it.
Rob's been a local business owner here in the Poconos for decades now. It's hard to believe, but we first met when you first opened your first restaurant in town, I believe, was Cluck U in East Stroudsburg.
Cluck U 2006.
2006,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's been 15 plus years then, 16 years now. You've had a couple of different places throughout the area. Talk about that as well.
Yeah, we're going to be opening, we have Derailed, which we opened 2019, June. And we're opening a steakhouse, cigar lounge next door in the old Lackawanna Hotel. And we actually are just finishing the old Keys Tavern, which is called the Goat on Main, which is going to be a sports bar, local pub.
Excellent.
And that should be open within a month.
Well, it's awesome. I want to talk to you why you think it's really important to support ESU athletics. I know Cluck U was a favorite of the student population and still is at ESU. I mean, kids walk down there and one of the first places they stop is at Cluck U.
Yes, we've had a really good relationship, and we've worked with the university a lot with the Cluck U over the years, and it's been, a great partnership with all of our businesses in the community, with Derailed being so close. And we appreciate everybody at the university.
Tell us what your plans are for the Goat on Main.
The Goat will be more of a sports bar, pub food, late night, sports.
And when do you plan on having that open?
Within the next 30 days, we should be open. Yeah.
All right. So as we get set for a new year, 2023, it looks to be a big year.
Big
Rob,
year.
thanks again for having us here. Get down to Derailed on Crystal Street in East Stroudsburg, or any of the locations that Rob has, because you're always going to find great food and great atmosphere and great people too. Rob, thanks.
Thanks for having us.
It's our pleasure. We've got more to come. We're going to sit down with head coach Jimmy Terwilliger as the ESU Coaches Show continues from Derailed tonight on Crystal Street in East Stroudsburg. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the ESU Coaches Show. I'm Chuck Seese. The Warriors are on the road this Saturday, taking on the Bloomsburg Huskies. We'll have live coverage on Bigfoot Country 103.1 with the pregame show at 1:30 and kickoff at 2 o'clock up at Redmond Stadium in Bloomsburg, where the Warriors have battled some great games throughout the years. Games that were played at Bloomsburg, games that were played at Lackawanna County Stadium, games that were played at East Stroudsburg University. Bloomsburg and ESU, it is a long-standing PSAC East tradition.
It's a game that you look forward to. I mean, you say the word Bloomsburg to any of my guys that I played with, and it's immediately going to get the fire going. What a great rivalry this has been in the last 25 years. Bloom, when I played here, was a powerhouse, nationally powerhouse, coached by Danny Hale. So nationally, we had some really good games. When you go to Redmond Stadium, you're going to get a battle. That's for sure. It's their homecoming this Saturday. It'll be a great one. I look forward to traveling with our group down to play on Saturday afternoon.
I see a lot of similarities between your team and their team when I look at the roster. They've had injuries, situations. They've got a sophomore by the name of Caleb Monaco. We know the Monaco family because they were at Pocono Mountain West, but interestingly enough, Chris and Caleb, Chris is the senior, Caleb is the sophomore. Chris is actually back this year from a COVID year. They would never played on the same team together until now at Bloomsburg. And I mean, I know that they're the opposition, but that is pretty special.
When you see local guys making impacts in this league, like Pennsylvania Conference football is really good football. I don't care where you're playing it. And those young men that came from this county that made an impact in their local league in the EPC, and then to be able to do that in the Pennsylvania Conference, it's special whenever you see it. So my hat's off to that family. And there's been plenty of others from Pocono Mountain West that have done a nice job at Bloom. I'll have to talk to McCarroll about that, sending them always to Bloomsburg. But no, it's a really good thing to see for our league.
We talked earlier today, the injury report is something that just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and we kind of half-heartedly said it might be easier to talk about who's healthy. It's a shorter list of healthy guys than it is of injured guys. Last year you went through it. One of the ways that you dealt with it last year is you burned some red shirts. John Sigan was a guy that you played among others last year. This year you decided that you were going to play Tahir Mills, but you've got other running backs that are red-shirted right now. How close were you or are you right now to really considering playing some of those guys that you'd really like to hold out?
It's really a tough thing in football. Injuries are a part of this game. It's a physical game. It's a gladiator sport. It's going to happen. This year, That's why we got the trainer on this episode, tonight's episode. No, what we have to go through is difficult, and with a 90-person roster, it becomes difficult for practicing, it becomes difficult for preparation and getting good looks on a day-to-day basis. What I look at in terms of red shirts and this, that, and the other deal is this: we have the job to play the best players. If a player is undoubtedly going to be best for our team to win, it needs to happen. At the same token, we take a look at where we're at, in the season, and there's a lot of conversations that go on to that. How close are we? Well, we're always a snap away from playing anybody at any time, and that's why we talk to our players about staying ready and being prepared for when the time comes to be called upon. You're ready to be called upon. Guys like Tahir Mills have done a tremendous job. Justin Cook, Bo Heiser, Zach Miller. These are all guys that last year at this time were in a high school biology class. Yep. And now they're making impacts in the Pennsylvania Conference. And that's a great lesson to everybody. Stay ready, be prepared. We hope that we get a little bit more luck in the injury report, but that's what part of the game, and we'll continue to battle through it.
Little Brown Jug tomorrow night in this community. You went through it as a player. You've seen it now 30 years, well, not quite 30 years since you played. I remember, I'll go back to 1999 when Stroudsburg beat East Stroudsburg, but you made a touchdown-saving interception as a defensive back, wearing number 33, if I'm not mistaken.
People don't understand, I was a better defensive player than I was offensive player in high school, and I'm gonna credit Ed Christian for that, and all his deals. Now, Little Brown Jug's a big thing to me. It's a big thing to this community. Every year, we naturally at East Stroudsburg, we have guys from East Stroudsburg South and Stroudsburg on our roster. Yep. You can go through it, the Camuses, the Pembletons, we have the Cirillos, the Kinneys, and Eli Johnsons. We've got, that rivalry is still very alive. So every year, we put a little side bet on, and, if the Mounties win, I would have to wear, Mountie maroon on that Sunday's practice. If the Cavaliers win, they got to wear the purple pride. The last couple years, Pembleton's been wearing my varsity jacket, and Camus has tried to fit into the old 13 jersey.
Oh,
wow. But I wish both teams real good luck. It's a beautiful thing when you have high school football that is meaningful to a community. It still means a lot to me. I know it means a lot to both towns, and best wishes to both teams.
And this year it means the playoff spots. I mean, because they're in two different classes. East Stroudsburg South is 5A, and they're on the outside looking in right now. They need wins and they need some help. Stroudsburg would like a win or two to maybe up their ante a little bit in the 6A rankings, but playoff determinations will be because of the outcome of this game tomorrow night.
When Stroudsburg plays East Stroudsburg, it should mean something. Yeah. It always should mean something. And the playoffs are great. I'm gonna put my little ploy in to bring back the Turkey Day game. I'm gonna put my little plug in to bring it back.
Right.
But when you play Stroudsburg, East Stroudsburg, that should mean something. Best wishes to both of them. But purple pride is in my veins. Sorry, Coach Miller. You guys are great friends too. But that's something I want to be good for our community.
All right, we haven't done this before, but we've got three guys that are coming on tonight. So I want you to give me a little thumbnail sketch of what these guys have meant to the Warrior program. First, we'll do it alphabetically. We'll start with Anthony Capitini.
Capitini, what an amazing young lineman that we have. You look at Cap, he's an all-conference guard. All-conference right guard for us. But Anthony Capitini has played right tackle, he's played right guard, he's played backup center and starting center, he's played left tackle for us. You tell me another lineman in the Pennsylvania Conference that's had to play all five. What an amazing offensive lineman. He's been very selfless in his approach. He works his tail off. He stays after practice to work on his weaknesses until they become his strong points. I'm so proud of that young man.
The guy behind him calling the signals, Jake Cirillo. We'll get a chance to talk to him tonight.
Gritty, leader. He's playing with one shoulder. It's hard to keep the young man off the field. He's a captain, a council member, a spiritual leader. He's the guy that people look after. He's tough as nails. When I think of the word warrior, I think of him. And he's going through it right now with an injury at Seton Hill. He's played tough every game since. I've told him 3 times, slide, Jake. Just slide.
Doesn't know the meaning of the word.
He doesn't know the meaning of the word.
And that's a former baseball player, too.
Pretty daggone good baseball player, but what a tremendous leader.
All right, and our third athlete tonight we're going to talk to is Adewale Obayanju.
Prime time. He's prime time to me. He looks good, he feels good, he played good. When I look at Wale, I see the makings of a dominant defensive back in this conference. He doesn't have stats, but most good corners don't have stats.
Right?
And he hits very little targets, which is something maybe that doesn't go looked at in the stat book and in the win columns, loss columns. Very few teams attack number one, and there's a reason for that. And I'm very proud of him for where he's at. I'd like to see him grow in these next 4 games into his career.
Thanks again for a couple of minutes tonight. I know you just came off the practice field. Let's do our. No doubt. I know the Warriors want to win. We got to get one for all the fans this weekend.
The word of the week is finish. Hey, we're there. And when you're building a program, first you lose games by big numbers, then you lose close games, then you win a few close games, and once you can do that, then you win the big ones.
Good luck this weekend, Coach.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more from the Derailed here on Crystal Street in East Stroudsburg. And again, we'll have live coverage of Saturday's game against Bloomsburg at 1:30 on Bigfoot Country 103.1. Kickoff just after 2 o'clock. Stay with us. We've got more to come from Derailed on the ESU Coaches Show. Welcome back to the ESU Coaches Show. We are at Derailed on Crystal Street in East Stroudsburg. I'm Chuck Seese as the Warriors get set to take on the Bloomsburg Huskies. And Jamie Galdieri, the head football athletic trainer, with us here tonight. Jamie, you have been a very, very, very busy man. We talked before the show started tonight. What kind of a typical day can be like for you after the game is over? I remember seeing summer camp practices where the guys come off the field and you might see 8 or 9 of them getting ready to get into an ice bath. I mean, is that something that's part of the regular season approach too in recovery?
It's a little bit less during the regular season, but after a game, we break the field down and then we start to triage anything that may have happened during the game, whether they need to immediately go out for x-rays or imaging or they can see the doctor during the week. But, we break down, we give guys ice, get them on their way, and then Sunday morning we're back at it again, seeing guys after a game.
On a good day, that's maybe 15 minutes worth of handing out some ice bags and saying, all right, see you tomorrow. But on a bad day, that could be hours after the game.
Absolutely, yeah. There's days where we're in and out pretty quick, but then there's also days where we're there for, close to an hour, just triaging whatever went on that day.
And give me your idea of what a pregame routine is like for you if it's a 2 o'clock kick at Bloomsburg on Saturday.
So for an away game, we travel with the team, obviously. We set up and we do taping. For a home game, I'll get there usually about 5 or 6 hours before the game, make sure everything's ready. Guys will start trickling in after breakfast, getting treatment. About an hour and a half before kickoff, we'll start taping, and then we walk down to the fields and start the pregame prep.
How important is pregame treatment for people, for athletes, I should say, getting prepared to play?
It gives them it helps warm them up. It helps get them ready for the game, whether they're hopping on the bike or they're heating or they're stretching, rolling out, just getting themselves loose and get ready to go for the game, put them in the best possible position to be successsul.
Coach Terwilliger and I kind of joked about it today. It could be a shorter list of people that are available to play rather than people that are injured. There's never a rhyme or reason as to why one year you might see 3 or 4 injuries, the next year you might see 20 or 30. Is that a frustrating part of your job?
It can be frustrating at times because you just feel like you're bitten by the injury bug. Yeah. But I mean, it's we have good years, we have bad years. Some years it's all lower body, some years it's upper. Some it just kind of there's no trend. There's very rarely do you see one specific thing that leads to an injury. A lot of times it's just the way things are going and just the cumulative wear and tear on a season for people. That's why we preach prevention, just to try to keep. You're never going to feel good playing football. From day one, you're not going to feel 100% till the season ends. So just trying to keep them in as good a condition as possible to make it through those 11, 12 weeks of the season.
This helmet that we have here in front of us has some technology inside of it that we talked about when it first came out about a year and a half ago, I believe it was. Is that about right?
Yeah, so at East Stroudsburg, every one of our football helmets have Insight in them, which is a program that Rydell has. It measures impacts that a player sustains through practices and games. And we're fortunate enough, Coach Dowds before Jimmy and now Coach Terwilliger, they take head injuries seriously, as do I. And every helmet will tell me if someone sustained a hit. It's not a diagnostic tool. It doesn't tell you he has a concussion. But when I'm one person with 90-some guys on the field, I need to be able to know if somebody took a shot that I may not have seen, and then I can follow up with them and it tracks it throughout the whole course of the season, so I can keep tabs on guys that maybe it's a technique thing, maybe they're using their head too much, or maybe I need to evaluate them and make sure everything's okay.
You're a former football player.
Yes.
What led you into athletic training? And I also want to talk a little bit about what has changed since the time you were a football player and now working with athletes on the football field.
So I got into athletic training because my high school didn't have an athletic trainer, and I excelled in the sciences. And one of my teachers said, you should look at sports medicine. And it went from you just rub some dirt on it, you're okay, it's just a bruise, to what we have today, where you can't find a football team without an athletic trainer for games and practices, because we are a vital part of what keeps athletes healthy. We can get somebody back on a field quicker than if they don't have our intervention right off the bat. So just the game has changed, the game has gotten faster, the guys have gotten stronger, and fortunately the high school level is a little different, but the college level, you need at least one athletic trainer, in most cases more, to be following a football team throughout the course of a year.
How many assistants do you have that work with the football team?
I have a graduate assistant on staff who's kind of like my right-hand guy, and then I also have 2 or 3 students from the East Stroudsburg University athletic training program that work with me throughout the course of the season. So at any time I have 4 to 6 people with me on a sideline.
What's one of the proudest things that you've been able to accomplish as an athletic trainer?
Volunteering with the Special Olympics, not an East Stroudsburg thing, but that's a big part of what I do volunteering-wise. I was able to go with Team Pennsylvania to Orlando for the USA Games. That was a huge thing. As far as what I've done on campus, I think the best part is seeing these guys when they come in, they're 18, guys and girls, they're 18, 19-year-old, sometimes 17-year-old athletes, seeing them progress, seeing them grow, taking somebody who's hurt, getting them back on the field, seeing them eventually walk across the stage and get a diploma. It's the most rewarding part of this job. It's what keeps me coming back every day.
I know one of the things you're also pretty psyched about is being a dad. You have a daughter. What's one of the favorite things you like to do with your daughter?
To be honest, my wife and daughter love coming to the ESU football home games. They're usually there every week that we're home. But when I'm outside of here, she's big into dance, she's big into soccer, so I'll be anytime I can get to a soccer game. Obviously not during football season, it's a little bit tougher, but I try to get to every possible game and practice I can get to, because she loves it, she loves doing it, and I love watching her do it. So,
Jamie, we certainly appreciate a couple of minutes of your time tonight. Thanks for joining us on the Warrior Coaches Show.
Chuck, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Our pleasure. We got lots more to come from Derailed here on Crystal Street in East Stroudsburg. And a reminder, Saturday's game against Bloomsburg, 2 o'clock kick. We'll have the pregame show at 1:30 on Bigfoot Country 103.1. Stay tuned. We've got more to come from Derailed as the ESU Coaches Show continues. Welcome back. We're at Derailed on Crystal Street in East Stroudsburg. It is the Thursday night edition of the ESU Coaches Show. I'm Chuck Seese. I don't know why I just said that, but I'm with Matt Hagelgans, who's the running backs and special teams coach here at East Stroudsburg University. And Coach, the Warriors in a little bit of a rough stretch right now, and especially at the running back position. All year long, Coach Terwilliger and I have been talking about how deep the running back room has been, and I can't remember a time when the Warriors had 5 guys that they could pick on and say, we're going to put you in and we're confident with you being in there. Now it's a matter of injuries that have really hurt the depth in that running back room. So what do you do at that point? I know that Jimmy and you have talked about suiting up guys that are fullbacks and have played in the backfield, might be taking some snaps this weekend.
Yeah, we're really blessed with a deep room, like we said. We recruited our butts off and we're able to bring in some really quality guys, and we're really excited for Tubby Mills this week to be able to get the opportunity to be the feature guy. And he has that ability. He plays above his freshman tag. Yep. He has that type of ability, and we're really excited for him. And we have Adrian Lambert, who, if you remember last year with Dave Akinwande, he kind of was tailback, fullback, and Adrian has some of those attributes, so we're able to tap into that. And outside of that, I'm close to holding tryouts to see who else we can bring in. We have some good athletes. Shabar Husset, I've gotten into some couple of arguments with Coach Lackey trying to snag some of those guys on defense, but we'll be okay. We're really confident.
There might be some guys out on some flag football teams.
Yeah, Yeah, we'll figure it out. We got some guys that we train. Tyrese Brandon's a really talented receiver for us who could possibly take a couple snaps if needed. So we'll have a great plan, and besides that, we're really excited for Tub.
You've been able to run the football in the last couple of weeks. I thought that was one of the things that the offense did really, really well. Talk about Tahir, talk about his progression, and talk about what you think his, it's tough to put a potential and a ceiling on any player, but, where do you see him, 2-3 years down the road?
I can't say enough about Tubbs' ability coming in here and being able to play so early. Our offense is not an easy offense to learn as a freshman, and he's really picked it up, and I think that's what separates him from a lot of the other young players that I've been around, is that his football IQ is special. He's coachable. You tell him one thing once and he picks up on it. And I think it's because of that he's kind of made his way into that, outside of all of his physical attributes of being fast and tough, and he has great hips, great feet, he has all the things you want from a back, but he's really smart, and his football IQ is going to allow him to be really good, and the sky's the limit for Tub Mills here. I think he could be as good as really he wants to be, and we're going to put him in great positions to be able to be successful, and I look forward to seeing what he can do. I think he's going to be really special.
All right, I want to learn a little more about Matt Hagelgans,
Absolutely.
running backs coach, special teams coach.
Yeah.
Is that an interesting, what are the different dichotomies and challenges that those two things present you?
Yeah, now we, Jimmy's demanding with what he expects of both of the positions, and I've really it's been a great opportunity to be able to work in both of those and juggle, and I love working with the running backs and the fullbacks and the tight ends and everything we do. The special teams thing is really great for me. And what I love about it is being able to interact with guys on both sides of the ball. I love being able to make relationships with guys in the defense. I've really tried to build personal relationships with the guys, and being able to work with guys that wear the black jerseys and not the red jerseys has really been something that I've thoroughly enjoyed. And we got some great players, and they've come together on the unit, and it's really been fun to watch, and I've really enjoyed that aspect of it.
What makes a good special teams player? They've got to cover punts, they've got to cover kicks, they've got to cover returns.
I think the word is you got to have some grit. You got to have that ability to understand that there might be one play or two plays, but those plays are really important. We say it's not quite a third of the game, but those plays hold value. It's like owning expensive real estate. It's and it's buying into that, and it's just guys that are willing to put it all on the line for their teammates, because really a lot of the jobs on special teams are thankless. A lot of times it's you don't notice the good plays, you notice the bad ones on special teams. So we try to celebrate the good ones, and we try to develop a brotherhood in those units that they'll take it and they'll run with it.
Matt Hagelgans is the special teams co-coordinator and the running backs coach at ESU. Where are you from, Matt?
I'm actually from Livingston, New Jersey is where I was born. I lived there for some years, Boot, New Jersey. I moved here when I was right before elementary school, and I'm right here in Stroudsburg. Lived here, and now I live down in Lehigh Valley, outside of Center Valley, and I love this area, and I'm happy to be here.
A graduate of Clemson. Yeah. Talk about what it was like to be around that college campus atmosphere.
I'll tell you what, it was, I always say it was divine. God brought me there. I don't know why. I watched the game one time, and the Death Valley was rocking, and I said, I got to go check that place out. And I went there. I fell in love with it. Campus is beautiful. The people are nice. The football environment is like nothing else. When I was there, it was Dabo Sweeney's, my junior year, he got hired.
Okay.
So we weren't the Clemson that everybody knows of now, right? So we were, but the fan base was there, and we loved our football. And I'm just really happy for where that program has gone, and it's really fun to watch, and it's a beautiful place. It's great.
I'm even more perplexed by the next question that I'm going to ask you. Livingston, New Jersey, Clemson, South Carolina. How do you become a Cleveland Guardians fan?
Well, the Guardians thing is an interesting one, and it's kind of it's not an interesting story, but when I was a kid in the 90s. We would play video games, and the best team on the video games were the Indians at the time, and they had Manny Ramirez and Jim Thome and Robbie Alomar and all those guys, and they were the best team. So I would play with them, and I got to know their players, and movie Major League I used to watch, and it just kind of, grew steam from there. And I've been a Guardians fan ever since I was, 8 years old. And then, we came up a little short this week. But, it's funny, back in 2017, Clemson went to the national championship, and the Guardians were in the World Series, and I was wearing them, and people were like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Well, I promise not a bandwagon guy. These are my guys." So, yeah. That was,
is it true or false? You're out scouting the campus for potential running backs.
Yeah, we have, like I said, there's guys in our football team who can run it. Jahan Worth's another one. Coach Lackey said we might go into the wrestling room if I try to take Jahan Worth. But if it gets down to that, we'll hold some open tryouts. There's some guys out there. I've seen them walk around on campus, so we'll see what we can do.
A couple of off the field questions: Marvel or DC Universe?
I don't know which is what. No, my son is a big Spider-Man guy. I think that's Marvel. So I go there.
Let's put it this way: DC, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. Those guys. Marvel is everybody else.
Now, me personally, I'm a big Batman fan. I love Batman growing up. I love the old show. The Dark Knight movies were great. So me personally, big Batman fan. If you ask my son, he'd say Spider-Man and Marvel, though, for sure.
Speaking of your son, what's your favorite thing to do with your son when you're not around football?
Well, if I can't bring him with me, which is what I really love. I love watching him run around with the guys. He's a huge Gunnar Engelvich fan. He has a Warriors jersey with 26 on the back, and that's his deal. But besides that, he's really into building Legos. So if we get some time just to sit on the floor and build a racetrack or build something, and just me and him spend some quality time, that's probably my favorite thing to do.
My son is 33, and he and I still spend Christmas Day doing a Lego set every Christmas Day.
Hey, well, I hope I can say the same thing when he's 33 years old.
Enjoy that, Matt. Thanks for the time.
Absolutely, man. I really
appreciate having you here tonight.
Thank you very much.
Again, Matt Hagelgans, the special teams coordinator and running backs coach here at East Stroudsburg University. The Warriors are taking on the Bloomsburg Huskies Saturday at 2 o'clock. We'll have live coverage on Bigfoot Country 103.1 beginning at 1:30. More to come. We're going to talk to some ESU players next when we return to Derailed on Crystal Street. It's the ESU Coaches Show. Welcome back to the ESU Coaches Show. We are at Derailed on Crystal Street in East Stroudsburg, and our thanks once again to Rob O'Hara for hosting us here tonight. Got a couple of Warrior players to talk about. The Cap is with us. Number 70, Anthony Capitini, offensive lineman. Coach Terwilliger and I were talking before you guys came up to the stage. You're a guy that in your first game at ESU had to move out of position, going from right guard to center when Ray Christus suffered a season-opening injury. You've played every position on the offensive line. Do you have a favorite, or do you like where you're at right guard?
I like to play where I'm needed. That's what I like to do. I don't really have a preference. I'm here for the team. I'm here for what the team needs, and I'm going to do my best to do what the team needs.
Did you play other positions? And obviously, I'm assuming that in high school, two-way player, you played defensive line. Were you more of a tackle or more of an end on the D-line for Phillipsburg?
Oh, I was a dominant D tackle. Look at my stats.
I should have done that. I apologize. So, what do you miss about not being on the D line? I mean, it's a completely different thing. You're trying to protect the guys and open up holes for the running backs. It's a completely different mentality.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Difference between O-line and D-line is D-line you're going to be a lot more violent, but you can easily be just as violent on the offensive line. We like to play our offense with a defensive mentality.
Okay. And what's that mean?
We're getting after guys. We're going after loose balls if they're there. We're putting people on their backs. Usual football O-line stuff.
So as an O-lineman, I got to ask you, run blocking or pass blocking, which do you prefer and why?
Well, just off my answer, you can tell I'm a big run blocking guy.
Blocker, yeah.
Run blocking. I love pancakes. I love road grades. That's what I'm all about.
Awesome. So can we talk about your summer job? I had the chance to run into you up at the Mountain View Vineyards, which is right around the corner from my house. What's it like to be in an experience like that? I mean, what a beautiful outdoor facility.
Oh, absolutely. One-of-a-kind experience. You're not going to get any place better than Mountain View Vineyard. Working there was a blessing for me. I was looking for a job at the time, down on tough times, and they were nice enough to give me a job and help me put food on my table and pay my rent.
What were some of your responsibilities?
So I was, half the time I was a busboy, the other half I was a server. Really hectic up at Mountain View Vineyard.
Yeah, it's a very busy place.
Yeah, run a lot of events, have great wine, great food, great staff. I'd recommend anyone go there.
There you go. Give us a typical, you're Phillipsburg grad, so Turkey Day is Phillipsburg Easton at Lafayette's Fisher Field. Give us the typical post-game celebration. Did you win any games against Easton when you played? I tried to look at that, and I think there might have been one. Or was it the year before you started?
It was the year before no, it was my freshman year. Freshman year. But typically after the game, we go back home to my house, have turkey, cranberry sauce, all the fixins, and we sit down. We watch the football games together.
Oh, that's an awesome day. The tradition of Phillipsburg and Easton, similar but different than what we have here between Stroudsburg and East Stroudsburg South. What was it like for you walking onto that field every Thanksgiving Day?
Oh, it was a once-in-a-lifetime kind of feeling. You go out there, you have close to 20,000 people in the stands, and you go on, you put on a show for them, and it's. I've never played professionally, obviously, but I like to imagine that it feels a little bit something like that.
I mean, a game that attracts the Manning brothers to the sidelines. I mean, it's steeped in tradition. It's an awesome thing to be part of. All right, so ask you some fun questions now. Are you a pizza or a pasta guy or both?
Oh, I'm both. I'm Italian, man.
All right, what's your favorite pizza topping? Don't say. I can't. Why am I blanking on the pineapple? What? Don't say pineapple.
I'm gonna have to say pineapple.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
not pineapple and ham, pineapple and bacon.
Oh, well, see, now I could probably get behind that.
Yeah.
The sweet and the salty, I think I like that.
Yeah, there you go.
What about pasta?
Pasta, big shrimp Alfredo guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, right up my alley. Now, you had the chance to work at a winery, maybe sample the goods a little bit. Are you a red wine or a white wine guy?
I have a proclivity to go with red wines, but the Niagara white wine over at the Mountain View Vineyard is absolutely tremendous.
Tell him Anthony suggested that. Good call, buddy. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Best of luck as the season continues tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thanks for being here. It's Anthony Capitini, number 70, the Cap with ESU Warrior Football. We will be on the air live on Saturday afternoon at 1:30 with the pregame show. Kickoff at 2 o'clock against Bloomsburg. We hope you'll get the chance to tune in. Thanks to Anthony, and we'll be back with more from Derailed here on the ESU Coaches Show. We are back at Derailed on the ESU Coaches Show, sponsored by Bigfoot Country 1031. I'm Chuck Seese. Bob Bertain and I will have live coverage of the ESU Warriors against the Bloomsburg Huskies Saturday afternoon. The kickoff at 2 o'clock. The pregame show is at 1:30. I'm with ESU quarterback Jake Cirillo, number 7, a 4-year starter at East Stroudsburg South. And now you're in your final year here at East Stroudsburg University. So anybody in the Pocono community is familiar with your play at East Stroudsburg South and here at East Stroudsburg University. What's it like to be able to play football in your hometown for such a long stretch of time?
It's awesome. This is one of the best places, I think, in the whole world. To be playing, growing up here, playing for South was really something cool. And then, getting the call from Coach Twig. Come on, take a visit here. I mean, I went to all the camps every summer because we were right here for high school. I knew them real well. And then getting that call from Coach Twig, it just made sense.
Well, Jake has put up some very, very impressive numbers here at East Stroudsburg University. Allow me to just list a couple of things. Jake has now rushed for 1,008 career rushing yards. That's 4th best at ESU. 3rd best is a guy by the name of James Franklin, who's now the head coach at Penn State. Jake has 8 rushing touchdowns in his career. That's 4th best at ESU. Bill Duckett is 3rd with 9, and Bill Duckett played football for ESU before I was even born, I think. 41 career passing touchdowns is tied for 8th with Andy Baranek. Bill Duckett is 7th with 45. Jake has 448 career completions. That's 6th in ESU history. Matt Marshall is next on the list with 471. And 5,367 career passing yards is 8th at ESU. And Andy Baranek is up next on the list at 7th with 5,533 yards. Those are some impressive numbers, Jake. And I don't know if you have a chance to put things like that into perspective. I'm sure you take things more of a game-by-game nature. But what is it meant to be able to play, in the shadow of great quarterbacks like Jimmy Terwilliger and Andy Baranek and Matt Soltesz?
Yeah, that's one of the richest traditions here at East Stroudsburg University is the quarterback play. going all the way back in the day to my offense coordinator, Coach Big Twig.
Yeah.
And then, every day I learn something new from, Coach Big Twig, Coach Jimmy Twig, just having them around and trying to pick their brains whenever I can, see what they think about certain plays on certain coverages, how they would read some, how to get a certain route open versus certain coverage. It's just really, truly something special, and you can't take for granted. And I'm glad I came here.
Now, do you see football in your future? I mean, did a lot of guys decide that they want to take up coaching when they hang them up, as a player? Is that something that you've thought about?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't given it much thought. I'm 100% football. Like that's all I've known, and I want to keep playing for as long as I can because that's what I truly love is just playing the game of football. But one day that's gonna have to end. Like you can't play forever.
Unless you're Tom Brady,
Nah, yeah, he's crazy. But I want to keep playing for as long as I can. But the day I can't play anymore, I'd want to get involved somehow, coaching. Yeah.
Jake is also a letter winner in baseball. You were a corner infielder and a corner outfielder, you told me.
Yeah, I played mostly first and third. Played some outfield whenever we needed some guys in the outfield, but I was mainly first and third.
And what was it like realizing you had to give up that sport when you came to college?
Baseball, I love baseball. Baseball's fun to play. As you can see right now, you see everyone paying attention to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Baseball's a fun game, but it wasn't that hard for me to, per se, give it up because just the attachment I have to football, and football's a different atmosphere and different game. The relationships you build with the guys and coaches is just unmatched.
Your career's not over here at East Stroudsburg University, but if you had to look back right now and look at one of the proudest moments that you have, maybe it's off the field, maybe it's on the field, what would it be here at ESU?
One of the proudest moments I'd have here at ESU, that's a tough question. I think there's a lot of moments that are unique and really, really great. I think one that sticks out in my head is going back to 2019, opening week. Coach Jimmy Twig's first official game as a head coach. We went out and beat Division I Wagner. That was pretty cool. But there's a lot of neat stuff. Just being around the guys every day at practice is, I don't know, that's like the memories I have the most. Those overnight away trips, the hotel trips with the guys are very fun.
Memories and relationships are one common thing that I hear from players year in and year out, so it's no surprise, Jake. PlayStation or Xbox?
Xbox guy.
And what's your Xbox game of choice right now?
Right now I'm playing 2K. My player playing the rec with some of my friends. But also I play Warzone with Ty Watt a lot. Gunnar Anglovich, play some Call of Duty. Clifford Brinkley, we all hop on, play Call of Duty 2K. So.
How about this, Coke or Pepsi?
Coke.
McDonald's or Burger King?
I'm going to go with Burger King here. Try their chicken sandwich. The chicken sandwich it goes under, you don't hear about it that much, but try the chicken sandwich.
Is there another place rather than McDonald's or Burger King? Wawa or Sonic or?
I had it.
Is there a go-to?
I had it this summer. I forget what it's called, but it's like one of those places. It's a milkshake place. I forget.
Oh, okay. Well, Jake, we appreciate the time. Best of luck Saturday against the Bloomsburg Huskies. It's always a great atmosphere when ESU and Bloomsburg get together, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Jake Cirillo, the ESU quarterback, again today with us today here at Derailed. We've got more to come from Derailed as the Warrior Coaches Show continues. We'll be back with more, and a reminder to tune in Saturday at 1:30 for live coverage of the Warriors and the Bloomsburg Huskies on Bigfoot Country 103.1. We'll be back with more. Stay with us. Welcome back to the ESU Coaches Show. I'm Chuck Seese. We're at Derailed on Crystal Street in East Stroudsburg. With me is Adewale Obayanju, Warrior defensive back. Thanks for coming out tonight.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Good. I want to talk about something that's important to you, your teammates. Ezekiel Lopez, Jake Cirillo brought this to my attention. The Scott Ewing Memorial 5K is a race that happens at the Pocono Family YMCA every year. I'm a new board member on the YMCA this year, and I'm very excited about this year's race. November 20th. Mark your calendar. They're looking for sponsors and they're looking for entrants. You can get more information at PoconoFamilyYMCA.org. You can also call them at 570-421-2525. But again, mark your calendar for November 20th for the 9th annual Scott Ewing 5K and 1 mile fun run. Again, more information at the Pocono Family YMCA, 570-421-2525. I know Scott meant a lot to the running community here in the Poconos, and that's why they memorialized him with this name. And I know that Ezekiel Lopez, your teammate, is interning at the Pocono Family YMCA. It's important to give back to the community when you're here in school, and that's really important to the team. I know Jimmy is very, very adamant about that.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. We even do things at the soup kitchen as well.
Let's talk about where you're from. Calvert Hall High School in Maryland. What kind of adjustments did you need to make coming to the Poconos from where you grew up, and also continuing to play college football as opposed to high school football? There's a difference in the game, the pace of the game, and the speed of the game.
Calvert Hall is a good conference, so it wasn't many adjustments, but the game is very much faster. So, of course, I had to move faster, understand adjustments faster, and that was mainly the biggest thing. But I played in a very good conference in high school.
You know, they say playing defensive back, you got to do like everything like a dance partner. You're doing it backwards, right? You're following the receiver downfield. If his hips go one way, your hips better go in the same way to follow him.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we also receive the most hate as well, but it's something like dancing a little bit, I would say. I'm not really too fond of that, though. I'm fine on that.
So, growing up in Baltimore, Maryland, University of Maryland, or were you a Naval Academy fan?
University of Maryland. Easy.
Terrapins, huh?
Yes, easy.
James Franklin has a little bit of a history with Maryland, you know, as an assistant coach before he went to Penn State. Did you follow him when you were growing up?
Yes, I did.
When you go to, you know, everybody says Inner Harbor, but I myself personally have spent a lot of time at Ocean City. So for you, is it Inner Harbor or Ocean City?
I live in the city, and I'm telling you, Ocean City is the best. Ocean City is the best.
It's a great spot. There's so many great spots. You move up a little north to Fenwick Island, Delaware, and you got to Chincoteague Island and Assateague Island to the south in Virginia. Yeah,
I've been to Assateague Island for a field trip before.
Yeah, the horses and the flies. The horses and the I don't know which is bigger on Assateague Island, man.
Definitely the horses.
So what's your major at ESU?
I'm currently a psychology major, but I'm double majoring with public health as well.
Well, with what we've been through in the last couple of years, I would say public health is pretty important.
Yes, it is.
What has drawn you to that as a field of study?
It's something I always thought would be interesting. I'm learning more, and it's something I've always been interested in.
All right, soft or hard shell crabs? My last question for you.
Easily hard shell.
Hard shell is the right answer, as a matter of fact. Adewale, thank you so much for the time. Best of luck against Bloomsburg on this Saturday afternoon. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
I want to remind you again, the Scott Ewing 5K is happening on November 20th at the Pocono Family YMCA. Call them at 570-421-2525 if you'd like more information. Check out our show on ESUWarriors.com and on YouTube. We're here every Thursday night. Coach, where are we next Thursday? I'm getting the live prompt. Teddy's University, right on the Stroudsburg side of the Uniborough Bridge. So join us next Thursday night at 6:30. Thanks again to the crew at Derailed for having us, and we'll talk to you again next Thursday night here on the ESU Warrior Coaches Show. Good. Thanks, guys. Hey, he's got special dispensation. He's allowed.